Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. Looks like there are no other questions for today. But I have a lot of things to say as a continuation of what we discussed in the last class. This universal question of this Atman beyond the BMI. So we are discussing that. How to think, what to speak, how to behave in terms of ways that are helpful in realizing the Atman that is beyond the BMI, right? So what is this beyond the BMI? All that we discussed. And what could we do that awakening that flame of discrimination or flame of Viveka through taking moments of inquiry in our everyday activities and all that we discussed. So you can have a re-listening of the previous week's talk, and then if you come back to this, you will understand better. So whoever has not listened to it or forgot what was happening. Now, basically, the discussion is about the way that leads you to self-realization. It's a way of saying, it's a way that leads you to self-realization in the sense, we know from the scriptures and from the masters, from the teaching tradition, that mind is the reason for bondage. Mind is the reason for liberation. So the bondage and liberation both exist for the individual. But in reality, a person who lives the reality, you cannot even say that actually. Just a way of saying, you have to say somehow. Huh? So for a Jivan Mukta, let us say, for a liberated being, there is no bondage, there is no liberation. When the truth is seen, when the truth is realized, it is very clear that there is no bondage, there is no liberation, there is no one to be liberated and all that. So, but that is not very useful for the person who is experiencing the bondage. That teaching is useful at a point of maturity, but we will not go there. But as an individual, when we talk about ourselves, we experience what we experience as the self. What we experience as the self is only in terms of this body, mind, intellect, this conditioned self, this bound self that we experience. This conditioned individual self is what we are experiencing and dealing with day in and day out. So the teaching is meant for this individual. Liberation is meant for this individual. Bondage is experienced by this individual. Hence, the teaching is for the individual and the liberation is attained by this individual. Right? So let us not confuse different levels of understanding or different categories of teaching, all like a khichdi in one, So this is the problem that happens when we consume too much Vedanta. When Vedanta, becomes consumeristic. We are consumerist with everything. So we are also ending up and bringing that habit of consumerism into spirituality. You attend this yoga camp, that Vedanta camp, that Upanishad camp, this Swamiji, that Swamiji. So different schools and different approaches. We keep on listening and going everywhere. And then you end up with a huge khichdi in the head. And there is not a systematic way of inquiry. So subconscious is totally messed up with so many approaches. So this is why at the end, you have a lot of information, but that it's not digested. The information is not assimilated, and it doesn't make an impact in terms of a relatable result that you can live. It does not translate into freedom. It does not translate into peace. It does not translate into clarity that you live in your everyday life. This is because we are bringing the consumerist attitudes and dumping our head with too much information. The same information analyzed and understood in different levels, in different perspectives by the same person, irrespective of whether the individual is ready for that level of understanding. Right. So, when we are discussing this, we are now going to use the level what is called as Drishti Srishti Vada. Drishti Srishti means it is the lowest level, Adama, in the sense, the beginner level, let us say, where you understand there is a creation and you are born in that. And through the scriptures and through your guesswork, you assume there has to be an intelligent creator, Ishvara. So we are living in this triad of Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat, the God, the individual, and this visible universe of experience. And we are working with this, right? This is our working model. From here we are starting. So this is for the person with less vairagya, the one who is completely caught up in the world. They say the next level is called Drishti Srishti Vada, right? What we are talking about is called Srishti Drishti, that is creation and then experience. Then Drishti Srishti is that is creation because I am seen. It's more Eka Jiva Vada, they say. Aneka Jiva Vada, Eka Jiva Vada. And then they go Ajata Vada. Ajata Vada is basically what we started with, for a liberated person, there is no one bound, there is no one liberated, there is no bondage, there is no liberation, there is no individual, there is no creation. It's all just like a dream or whatever. Right? So it's Ajata. That is for the person with the highest level of Vairagya. So this is the approach. So now, what should be the behavior of the body, mind, intellect in order to attain self-realization? I am simplifying that question. So I'm not repeating the same question, but I'm simplifying the question to its essence. Basically, what can we do? What should be the approach at the body level, at the speech level, at the thinking level, attitude level, at the action level? Body, thinking, speech, and action. Thinking and action. What should be the approach in life that is going to take us towards self-realization? That is the question. Now, before we go into that, we have to see what is the value of self-realization. Right? So in psychology, self-realization is different. In psychology, self-realization is basically understanding your emotions, understanding your attitude, understanding your strengths and weaknesses and all that. That is not what we are talking about here. Here, when we say self-realization in spirituality, in Vedanta, it's basically based on the proposition that there is an eternal, unlimited aspect of myself, the unlimited self. Right? So what I'm experiencing now is the limited self. Limited self means I feel as an individual with reference to my body. So when you say I, you say I. So I am with reference to this body. I feel as an individual, separate from the world around. And then I am relating to the world based on my conditioning, whatever, right? So I, as an individual, I feel limited. When I go in front of a tall person, I feel short. When I go in front of a short person, I feel tall. Being small or big, being weak or strong, various limitations, rich and poor, all these kinds of limitations I experience with respect to myself, which I experience with this body as the locus. And I experience myself at the body level, like we talked about the Panchakosha, I experience myself at the body level. at the level of urges, at the level of thoughts, at the level of will to do, and myself as a doer, and myself as the experiencer. Now, this individual self that I am experiencing, me experiencing myself as an individual, is always with some kind of a limitation. That is a limit to my individuality. No matter how powerful I become, there is a limit to my individuality. There is a point where my individuality ends and the universe begins. And what is outside of myself is unlimited. Right? I see it's like it's huge. The universe is huge, the earth is huge. And no matter how rich I become, I may be the richest man on the earth, but there is always a higher possibility which somebody might reach in a later point of time. At the time of death, I become absolutely poor. I don't even have my body. So at the time of death, where is all my richness gone? So in terms of time, I am limited. So I experience myself in terms of different kinds of limitations. So I call myself the individuality, we can call as the limited self. Now, if I remove all the contexts in which I am experiencing myself, this quality of me being aware of myself, from the Shastra and from the masters, we know that I know myself as existing with reference to all this, but there is also a me who exists. I exist even without all of this. Without the body, without the mind, without the intellect, without any of this objective context that I'm experiencing myself, I exist without all of this, but none of this can exist without me. This me who I am, when I'm not conditioned by any of this me who is not conditioned any of this, let us call it as the eternal self or the unlimited self. Right. Now, this unlimited self is told as of the nature of Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Sachidananda, and all that. And this unlimited self, when realized, gives you the highest possibility. This unlimited self is the highest possibility, where there is no fear, where there is no sorrow, where there is no struggle. Says Tarati Shokam Atmavid. The person who realizes this unlimited self knows this unlimited self, crosses the ocean of suffering, ocean of sorrow. So each one goes to ask for a permanent solution to the master, and each master explains this in a different way. The infinite, Bhuman, one master says infinite. Another person says the self, the supreme self. All that different words, right? Sachidananda, Satyam, Anantam, Param, right? The highest. So and it is the same as Brahman, that which created this entire universe, that and this individual self, or this unlimited self that sustains this individual self, that unlimited dimension of yourself, that and Brahman are one. That is the ground in which this whole show of this universe and experience is happening. So you are actually God, you are not this individual self. That is the teaching, right? Now, from the level we are working with, our working model is, I know my individual self, I don't know the unlimited self. This is my working capital. What do I have? I know my individual, somehow I know this individual self I'm experiencing. I know myself as an individual, but I don't know myself as the eternal, unlimited, supreme self. I don't know myself as the supreme being. I only know myself as this individual self. This is where we are starting. Now, while I know myself as this individual, limited individual, I have habituated myself to be stuck with so many contextual experiences of myself, which we call as ego. I am so stuck up with myself as the individual on so many levels. My limited self, I am so bound to my limited self. I am so stuck up with this limited self. It is impossible for me to imagine something other than this. I know myself only through the body. I know myself only through this different limited context that I experience myself. And in every level, I experience threat. I might, in every level, I am challenged. My individuality, my survival, my status quo, my ego, my happiness, my security is being challenged at every level. If you want to just go and enjoy a walk in the park, there is mosquito. If and if you manage to do all that, you take care of all the aspects, and you are enjoying a nice moment. That moment cannot last forever. Even if all the objects that you are enjoying can are made sure that you will get what you want at the flip of the finger, you will get whatever you want. If you are in that condition, then what happens? There is a point where you are not in the mood to enjoy anymore, or that enjoyment becomes stale. There is a limitation with respect to enjoyment. So all the attainments, all the enjoyments and the experiences that I want for myself, all the ways in which I try to feel happy and peaceful, gives me some kind of happiness and peace. But even if everything is perfect, that peace and happiness is temporary. And again, I have to work for arriving. And then it puts me in a certain kind of a situation where I'm not comfortable then, and I have to work myself to arrive at the point where I am happy and comfortable again. Right? I am hungry, I eat. After some time, the energy is gone. Again, I'm hungry. Again, I have to eat. Like that, anything, the taste. I have to train my taste buds in a certain way. I should not overindulge. If I want to really enjoy very nice cuisine, I will have to exercise a lot of restraint, which is not nice. It's nice to constantly, keep enjoying, but you cannot. The sense faculty has its limitation. So I have to train my sense faculty, my sense of taste from childhood, and to have develop a refined sense of taste, and I have to have some self control and all that, and only then I will be able to really enjoy a very nice, what they call this Michelin star restaurant dishes and all that. So like that, a very sophisticated dish, if I want to enjoy, I need to have developed a sophisticated sense of taste. To develop that sophisticated sense of taste is not easy. One person has to go through a lot of struggle. If I want to enjoy a nice mountain trek, I will have to train my body in so many ways that are uncomfortable in order to be able to be ready to go through a certain mountain expedition. So, because that result, I see the value in that, I go through a lot of hardship, and then I'm able to arrive at that achievement. Right. So, all the achievers that if you take, every achievement is preceded by hardship. That is, every desirable outcome, I will put it like this, every desirable outcome is preceded by undesirable struggle. While being enjoyed, it is subject to all kinds of threat. Anything can disturb that moment. But if you're lucky enough, it's going to be there and you will be enjoying that. Good. Let's think positive. But no matter how positive you think, there is going to be a point where this achievement, this attainment is going to come to an end, where this nice experience is going to end. No matter what this experience, no matter how nice is this experience. So it is preceded by struggle, then it is succeeded by loss. Um, once again. Okay. Yeah. So no matter what is my attainment, it is preceded by struggle and it comes to an end at some point. At the point when it comes to an end is not nice. That is why they say even the gods are. So when we learn from the Upanishads and all that, we come to know that even the so-called celestial beings who are supposed to be, living for a very long period of time and under perfect circumstances, even that comes to an end, and so they are all afraid of death. Even they say even the heavenly beings are afraid of death at the time of what they call as the end of the kalpa and all that. We have a beautiful story in Taittiriya Upanishad. He talks about various levels of happiness. So we are now discussing why self-realization is important. In the sense of what is the value in realizing the eternal, absolute, unlimited self. Because whatever attainment that I can arrive at with this limited self as the basis, with my limited self as the locus, with my limited self, whatever I attain, it is preceded by struggle. Whatever outcome I arrive at, desirable outcome, is preceded by the struggle that I don't desire. Nobody likes to struggle. And after that, I no matter what happens, I have to lose it. Then again, I have to start from scratch and then arrive at it. So this point of struggle, a limited enjoyment, and again the sense of loss, again struggle, limited enjoyment, sense of loss, this goes on, right? So if you take it into a big circuit, it is a bigger context. You say we are born, we grow, get old, die. Again born, grow, get old, die. Then in this between birth and death, there is so many, so much of struggle with a few moments of enjoyment here and there. And then the memory of that enjoyment keeps you going, right? Now from after death to birth, we don't know. And there is a lot of, that is what is the whole, this religion and all the heaven, the schools that promote heaven, all the heaven and hell stories, karma, and all the topic of the whole topic of the dealing with, try somehow bring some control into this unknown dimension. After death, before birth, what happens, in that process to bring some kind of a control, some kind of a predictability is what this whole religion thing is about. All the religions are about in so many ways, including our dharma. So you have this, doing yajnas to make, there is the going to the Pitruloka road, going to the Devayana, Pitrayana, going in the way of the gods, the way of the yogis, the way of the Pitrus, the dark path, the path of light, and all that is there. So each one goes through different disciplines in order to have some kind of control and predictability and certainty in the period between death and birth. Right. Now, so this goes on. Now, while talking about this, one can become so many things. So I can be, so what all attainments are possible for me as an individual. So when we see in the different contexts in Upanishads where the teaching happens about this infinite, unlimited self, about Atman, let's call it Atman, right? Wherever the Atman Jnana, the knowledge about the Atman is being discussed, it always begins with recognition of the limitations of time-bound attainments. Recognition of the limitation in what an individual can attain as an individual. What an individual can attain as an individual, it has its limitations. So that limitation is always pointed out before the teaching. Either the student himself says, I am learned in this, I know mathematics, I know astronomy, I know, he lists a huge list of branches of knowledge, I know so many things, I know how to have control over the 5 elements and all that, but still, somehow I am dissatisfied, somehow I am restless, somehow I am not happy, So, what is it that which by attaining which I will get absolute peace and absolute satisfaction, after which there is nothing remains to be attained? Like that student comes with that question. So similarly, in Chandogya Upanishad, there is this thing about, do you know that by knowing which everything is known? And like that, you have this in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a story. He tells that the teacher tells the student, he talks about different levels of happiness, right? So let's take the case of a young boy, a young person is very healthy, very intelligent, very well learned, and all that. So all the positive qualities, sattvic, dharmic, right? And all the wealth of the world belongs to him. And he has a dirgha ayush, he has a long lifespan, and he's going to be healthy, no diseases, right? That person, how happy that person will be, that man will be. Consider his happiness to be one unit of human happiness. Now, if you see, that's only a theoretical proposition. We don't see that happening anywhere in the world. We never, the entire wealth of the world is never available for one person. No matter how big he is, there is always somebody who challenges it, right? So, and if everything is there, the person's health is not there. Something or the other is not working. So we are talking about like a super punya person where, everything is perfect. So if that is one unit of human happiness, which itself is only theoretical, a hypothetical situation. 100 times that happiness is enjoyed by a person who attains the level of Manushya Gandharva. 100 times that is attained by the person by a person who attains the level of Deva Gandharva. Like that, it goes on up to Brahmaji. And in each level, there is also another line that is added. Shrotriyasya kamahatasya. The same happiness also belongs to the person who is well read in the scriptures and who is free from desire, which means a mature person, a learned and a mature person. Enjoy the happiness that all the beings enjoy in different levels. So you don't need to attain that level just by being knowledgeable, being learned in the scriptures, Shrotriya, by imbibing the wisdom of the scriptures, and at the same time being desireless and being devoted to the path shown by the scriptures, by being devoted to Dharma, Vaidika Dharma, and by remaining desireless, you will have all those happiness, all that is said. But then it goes into completely another dimension. Then it says, the one who realizes oneself as that supreme being, that person's happiness is immeasurable. It is, that cannot be expressed in words. Like that it goes, right? It is, and the person who realizes that goes from by step and then becomes one with the Supreme Brahman. The teaching goes. Okay. Now, if you see that, if you read that, so many levels of happiness that can be attained, the things talked about there, compared to that, what we are going to achieve in our everyday life with this, with all our limited little struggles, is absolutely nothing. That is why probably in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna points out one, the one who is result oriented is a miser. In the sense, he doesn't want to realize his full potential, small-minded fellow. So if you are really result oriented, you are small-minded fellow because you don't realize the possibility that lies ahead as a human being. You don't realize the infinite possibility, and you are stuck with all these this little everyday attainments, and you are little making a point in an argument and this kind of things, or so if you do so that doesn't mean that I should not strive for anything, but I feel that I have to do so many things. Then there is dharma and all that. I have my commitments, I have my obligations. So when a person recognizes the pointlessness of the different attainments as an individual, then what happens? You are not interested in any of the goals. Nothing. I'm not interested in attaining any of that. Then the proposition of, when you see that in contrast with the proposition of what the unlimited self When realizing myself as the unlimited being, what does it mean? And in front of that, what all this means. So all these worldly attainments, worldly attainments, I mean this worldly and other worldly. So all attainments are pointless in front of the infinite, because any big number is nothing in front of infinity. No matter how much ever a big number you think of mathematically, it's nothing in front of infinite. When I say infinite, that's like a discontinuous. This like it's beyond words. You can only conceptualize as infinite. But the definition of infinity is it's a very big number. But any big number that you propose is nothing in front of infinity, right? So it's only an idea. Infinity means what? Here, the unlimited self means the self that is not conditioned by any limitation. The self that is not defined by any structure, right? So so realizing the unlimited self, when you really see what is the potential of this limited self, me as the limited individual, what is my potential as a limited individual, then I see there is no permanent happiness. When I really see there is no permanent solution, there is no permanent solution for the reality of struggle. There is no permanent solution for fear. As long as there is a second entity, so long there is fear. It comes in Upanishad, right? Because whatever I have attained, whatever outcome I have arrived at, it can be challenged by another person. It can be challenged by another situation. So if I have, for attaining something, I have to struggle. So after attaining it, I have to struggle to preserve it. No matter how much I try to preserve it, I'm going to lose it. Now, this reality is common for all outcomes of myself as an individual. Whatever I achieve as an individual, this is common. So I am left with no choice. If I really want a permanent solution, the only permanent solution available is the unlimited self, Atman. Atman is the only solution for all my problems. One solution for all problems. It's like a master key. One solution for all problems. And that alone is solution. Nothing else is solution enough. Everything may be solution, but it's only a temporary solution. It is only like a, it's like it's a temporary gratification. It's like it doesn't solve the disease. It only gives me some temporary comfort. Then I have to come back to the disease. What is the disease? It's called samsara. The pattern of struggle, the pattern of struggling with my limitation, that the pattern of becoming. Always I am trying to become something else. Always I am trying to arrive at something else. Always I am trying to change something to something else. Always I have to keep creating new situations and contexts and things in order to satisfy my urges and desires. So all the time I am struggling towards something in time. And all the time, whatever I have arrived at, whatever I have achieved is being challenged. If not by anything else, it is being challenged by time, right? So the only solution for permanent peace and unlimited happiness, unchallenged happiness, is the eternal self, Atman. So when I understand Atman as the only solution, then I am not interested in any achievements for the sake of the individual. Now, this individual I'm experiencing, this is my capital. So the individuality, what I have, is my capital for all that is associated with my individuality, is the capital for me to somehow attain Atman, right? So now, when I arrive at this clarity, I have no other goal. The only goal that I have is self-realization or realizing the Atman. Now, for this person, what should be the behavior? So it is very important to arrive at this clarity, because otherwise, when I really don't understand what this unlimited self or this Atman actually means, in terms that are understandable to me, I understand happiness. I want happiness. So my individual happiness, my happiness that I attain as an individual is limited, it is challenged, it is perishable. The peace that experiential peace that is based on the certain conditions of body and mind can be challenged, it is limited, it is preceded by struggle, and it comes to an end and is destroyed in time. So in terms of this only, I will have to understand the unknown. So I know this, my known self and my known world. In terms of this, I try to appreciate the unknown, which is the supreme self. So the supreme self, the unlimited self, the eternal self, actually. But I'm just telling like this, it's unknown. This unknown makes sense to me only in terms of the known. So I say eternal happiness, infinite knowledge, eternity. It is always there. And it is not dependent on anything else. So I say Satchitananda. It is unlimited. Everything about that is unlimited. Unlimited knowledge, unlimited Ananda, unlimited, that is peace, unlimited existence, unlimited awareness, knowledge, right? So when I think about like that, so based on what I know, the qualities and things, what I'm looking for, whatever I'm looking for, Atman is the infinite version of that. So nothing can compare with, nothing can compete with Atman. So I say, I want only Atman, nothing else. And then the journey begins. So from this context, we have to see how I am going to behave, what I need to do at the level of the body, what I need to do at the level of the mind. So this is what this entire sadhana is about. So when we talk about the spiritual path, the sadhana, it is all about me becoming more and more available for the wisdom of the infinite. Me becoming more and more available for the knowledge about myself as the infinite being, which means me becoming less and less stuck with my individuality. That's where the journey begins. So the key point is, I am behaving, thinking, speaking, I am thinking and acting in ways and understanding and having an attitude in a way that progressively makes me less and less stuck with my individuality and the associated situations. In other words, I become less and less egoistic. This is the central point. So what is the point of becoming less and less egoistic? It is not to become a weak person who can be manipulated by everybody. He should be a strong person. On the contrast, a person who is less and less egoistic is actually becoming very, very strong. Because what happens is, the less egoistic I become, the more I am aligned with Ishvara. So the Ishvara or the divine or the supreme creator or the universal intelligence takes predominance in every aspect of my life. For example, at the level of me playing a role in society. Let us say I am a teacher in a school. Now, a teacher should be respected. So as a teacher, I am a person of authority. That is my role. Suppose I am too stuck with my authority, not the dharma. What is the dharma of a teacher is supposed to teach? Right? Now, a student talks to me in a disrespectful way. Now, the student needs to be corrected. There is no doubt about that. But I have a choice whether to be hurt or to be very objective about that, so that I have enough compassion for his ignorance and indiscipline, so that the right response, a useful response, a helpful response comes for this hurtful behavior, disrespectful behavior of the student. Am I responding in a helpful and educative way, or I am responding in a hurtful way because I am hurt? Here, a less egoistic teacher is much stronger morally and functionally as a teacher. But a very egoistically stuck teacher, he may show himself as a very strong person and punish him. So he thinks that by punishing the boy and making him feel bad, he is asserting his power. Might have to do that as a tool without getting stuck into that. Sometimes that's different. But what I'm trying to say is fundamentally, my motive itself is to hurt that kid because he's disrespectful. He needs to be punished and he needs to learn his lesson. I need to show him my authority. How dare you do that to me? When I come from there, then I'm actually weak. So I can be hurt easily. I can be disturbed from my commitment to my dharma as a teacher. My commitment to my dharma as a teacher can be disturbed like that. Right? All it takes is one, a very smart, mischievous kid with a very strong political background, and then I'm finished. Right? So if you actually see in different situations, when we see, the less egoistic we are, the more aligned we are, the more available we are for the objective reality of the situation. And the more available I am for the objective reality of a situation, the more dharmic I am, which in other words is called being more dharmic. I experience and demonstrate a different level of strength that cannot be challenged, like how an ego can be challenged, because of the power of reality there. So power of reality is what I call as Ishvara. So every situation, I have less of me and more of Ishvara. So that is the fundamental principle that comes to regulating our behavior in thinking, speech, and action. Kaya, action, body, vak, speech, and manas, mind, thoughts, attitude. Right? So in action, thinking, and attitude, if there is less of me and more of Ishvara, more of Ishvara means what? Ishvara is the one word that represents universal order, the truth, the universal order that keeps this universe and all the functions and all the departments of the universe together, all the laws of the universe together. Everything works in a specific supreme order because of the presence of this intelligence that sustains this whole thing. That from which all this came, that in which all this is sustained, that into which all this will go back, that supreme being, the creator, is of infinite knowledge and infinite potential and capacity and skill. Infinite knowledge and infinite skill. Let's put like that. Right? Sarvajnaha Sarvavid. So this infinite being, let us call it that, this we can understand it as the universe itself. This universe itself is an intelligent being. Right? So that this intelligent being that functions as this universe. This intelligent being and this universe are not separate. This intelligent being that functions as this universe, in which this cosmic mind, in which we all exist. I told you in the beginning itself, I'm using this model, right? So in this universe, intelligent universe, we all exist as individuals. We are using the different tools that are given to us because of grace, whatever this body, mind, and everything. We are using all of this according to the laws of the universe, according to the laws that are sustained by this universal and this universal being. So this entire universe, what we call as this nature and whatever, is that one intelligent being that functions as everything. The whole thing is an intelligent being whose intelligence is available at every point, in every situation. Every situation is regulated by certain laws. So if you are going for a mechanical situation, like, if you want to ride a bicycle, the riding of a bicycle has its own mechanical laws. It's ruled by gravity, the fundamental laws of physics, right? So this mechanical physical universe is ruled by, the laws of what they consider all the different scientific laws that we can understand. So similarly, there is what we call this universal order, this physical order is there. Similarly, psychological order. So that there is this sense of order in everything. So this truth, when you understand it and when you speak, it is Satyam. But this truth in action is Rhythm. They say Rhythm Satyam, Rhythagum Satyam, Param Brahma, etc. So this, what you call as this rhythm is basically that universal order. The supreme intelligence that exists as the creator, that exists as the universe itself, and all the things in the universe, and that supreme universal order, the cosmic order that regulates this entire functional universe, right? Now, this, in a particular context where we function as an individual, this we understand as the dharma of the context. So, I respect the dharma of a context. I respect the reality and the rhythm of the context much more than I give importance to myself. I learn to give more importance to Ishvara of a context. I learn to give more importance to the rhythm that regulates, the universal rhythm that regulates that context. I give more importance to that than I give importance to myself, my own likes and dislikes, my own preferences. Giving importance to myself here means giving more importance to my preferences over the reality of a context where I am supposed to play a role, right? Giving more importance to my preferences than I give to my dharma. That is egoistic. The opposite of that is Ishvara Pranidhana. That is the technical word which is used in yoga. The process of yoga is basically learning to give more and more importance to the dharma and the reality and the objective reality of a situation that exists despite me. Whether I do the right thing or not, the dharma or the rhythm or the cosmic rule that regulates a situation will always have the last word. So if I respect that more than I respect my preferences, I will be in tune with the rhythm of the universe. When I am in tune with the rhythm of the universe, when I learn to respect the rhythm of the universe more, the less I am caught up in my own subjective projections on a context. In every situation, there is the reality of a situation, then there is my projection about the situation, and there is my expectation from the situation. So I project my own ignorance, my own limited perception of the situation. I want the situation to behave in a certain way. That is my expectation. Because I project a certain reality, I expect a certain outcome. So when the outcome is not according to my expectation, generally the tendency is to manipulate the external situation in order to meet with my expectation. That is the normal materialistic worldly person's approach, what we call as a bogi approach. So what will be the yogi approach? Yogi approach is, it is not meeting my expectation. Then I question my assumption. I respect the reality of the situation, and I question my understanding about the situation. I try to see what is wrong with my understanding. And then I question my understanding and I try to arrive at the understanding of the reality. So I respect the reality. So in a situation, if the ethics of the situation says there is an ethical order, so if there is an ethics of a situation says I am not supposed to do whatever I want in order, no, somehow they say, achieve it by hook or crook. So I am not supposed to achieve that by hook or crook. I am supposed to respect some rules while I am trying to achieve a target, right? Now, if my desire for the target becomes more important than, if I'm blinded by that, so if I'm my self-definition, my attachments to myself as a successful person, my attachment to myself, the image of myself as the achiever, it blinds my understanding. What happens? I am not available to respect the rules on the way. So then I say the end justify the means. The ends don't justify the means. The means are absolute. So I cannot compromise on the means no matter what. It's totally opposite. The way of yoga is I have to choose the right means no matter what will be the end. I cannot compromise on the dharma of the ethics of a situation, even if I will not get the outcome. So when I turn the whole equation like that, then I am training myself to respect the dharma of a situation more than the importance that I give for myself as the achiever. It doesn't matter whether I achieve or I don't achieve. I have to do the right thing. It doesn't matter if I am comfortable or uncomfortable. I have to approach it in the right way. When I do that, this grip, this ego, the grip of the ego, the grip that this egoistic, the habituation of this egoistic approach to this individuality, this egoistic approach, it has a grip on us. So this egoistic habit, the grip it has on us will loosen. So when the egoistic grip loosens up, then what happens? It gives us more objectivity and it gives us more what you call as equanimity, samatvam, right? That is what in Yoga Sutra it says, samadhir bhavanartha. Samadhi means this equanimity. Klesha tanukaranarthascha. Klesha means the pain-causing afflictions, likes, dislikes, too much of being stuck in situations, too much attachment and all that, and fear of death, constantly being in anxiety. All these are different pain-causing afflictions in the mind that are created when we give more importance to the ego over and above the reality and the objective dharma and the rhythm and the harmony that regulates situation in life, right? So this is the whole process. This process is called in one word as Ishvara Pranidhana. So we have a overview of this. We will go deeper into this and analyze this, and through practical examples, and see how we can implement this in different contexts with examples from everyday contexts in life, right? So when we are discussing that, you can ask specific questions that might be related to your situations or some other situations that you might be encountering, and then we'll go deep into that. So this whole process called Ishvara Pranidhana is basically meant for loosening the grip of my egoistic self and becoming more and more available for reality at the functional level, eventually enabling me to become more available for the reality at the level of knowledge, which is the reality of my true self, which happens to be the infinite true self, which is Atman. So reality of myself as Atman requires a certain purity of mind, which is arrived at by gradually loosening the grip of ego in different situations. I am not loosening the grip of ego in order to be, a humble person or a spiritual person, or that becomes another ego game. I am a very humble person, so that becomes another ego game. It's not for that, but for becoming more and more available for the knowledge of myself as I am. So the more active the egoistic personality is, the less available I am for myself as the supreme being or the Atma, right? So this is the entire approach. We will go more into this in the coming classes, and I will finish the session with now the Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tatsat. 2-3 minutes. Any question?
No questions. Thank you for giving a very good clarity on
I'm trying to go very slowly so that we explore each aspect in a very.
Yes, yes, it was very useful that way, definitely.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So we will continue in the next class. During the week, when you listen to this, the previous one and this one, if you get any questions, please send the questions to Ms. Swati or put it in the YouTube video in the comments, and I will answer them and I'll handle it. Okay. Thank you.